Hey, welcome Possibility Seekers to the Art of the Possible podcast. My special guest this week, Ben from Hartnett Media and Alex from Aaron's. How you going, Ben and Alex?
Pretty good.
Awesome, guys. I've got a couple of Gen Zs here with me today. We're going to talk all sorts of stuff, social media, Gen Z, film and photography, so it's going to be an awesome little session. First of all, how did you guys meet?
I guess it was through social media, really, and one
Really?
of my friends, Michael Carroll, also from Aaron's.
Yeah, I think I met Mike first, and then we sort of just because Mike and Alex hang out heaps in Queensland, so sort of best pals up there. So that's how I sort of connected with Alex. So it just would have been through social at first, then.
Okay, and so you're both photographers and filmmakers as well. Is that how you met through one of those platforms?
It would have been through Instagram.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it would have been probably around the fact that Alex and I both share similar interests, not only in cars but in photography and videography as well.
Okay. Yeah. And so you're down here, Alex. We talked about meeting in Queensland. I think you and I caught up. The first time was in Noosa, I think.
Yep, that's correct.
At Betty's Burgers, if I remember correctly, and Concrete.
Yeah.
Hey, what a great place that is. Well, they're down here in Melbourne now too, Alex. You'll be happy about that.
Yeah,
because I know you're coping with the beautiful weather in Melbourne. What, 26 degrees to 6?
A bit cold, yep.
So both being filmmakers and interest in cars, what sort of drove the passion for cars? How did you get interested in cars? Alex, you first.
For me, it was just I was always into like the drift cars when I was younger, like the Japanese scene. But as I started getting older, I like veered off into watching like Wurlitzer videos of like Volkswagens and stuff like that. And I think that's where my European sort of started.
And was that through watching, YouTube and watching videos from European cars? Like, was it just more stuff you saw rather than Japanese stuff?
That's right. Yeah, I think like there was a kind of a shift for a bit where people were more interested in the European cars. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and Ben, and then both of you guys I know have got very tweaked, murdered out, modified Volkswagen Golfs.
I mean, Alex is the opposite of, I would say the opposite in terms of murdered out. My one's all dark and all black and everything with the tint, and then Alex is pretty much silver, no tint. You can see everything. It's very, very, they're both very modified, but very, very different in terms of their look and aesthetic.
Now let's talk about your car for a second, Alex, because I heard this story that your car doesn't even like coming to Melbourne from Queensland. And when you got in it...
as soon as I got in, the windows all started fogging up. It wasn't like unfogging, it was just not a good time.
It's a classic, so it's definitely got a spirit. In terms of, it's alive. When we talk about your passions though, so what led you guys into the passion around photography and filmmaking? What drove you towards that?
Well, for me, I didn't start off with cars first, so I sort of did. I think I would say I started off with just doing everything because it was like videography at school. Doing sort of just different videos involving all of my sort of passions and hobbies at the time, whether that was a bit of bike riding, and it was just usually filmed with a GoPro, a bit of like skateboarding and all that. And that was, I really didn't have much inspiration for the time other than sort of just cinematographers on YouTube that would do all the travel stuff and make the editing really exciting. And then I sort of did a lot of sailing stuff, as some people know, and that was fun for a few years. But I've always, throughout that whole time, I always watched car stuff. And then I always wanted to do automotive videography, following guys like Mike Hosiel and like Halcyon and even Crispy as well, all those guys when I was sort of started videography, and it took me a good few years to sort of jump into it myself. But yeah, the passion started quite early on for that, but I just wasn't really that confident to do the automotive stuff, and the hardest part about the automotive stuff is you don't really know anyone when you're first in the car scene. I mean, because your age as well, because you're not driving. And I was probably like fresh red P plates at the time. I just had like my old schoolmates around me and all that. And I think I didn't really know anyone in the car scene. I remember attending a few events like quite early on at Caribbean Gardens, and like I didn't know anyone, like I didn't speak to anyone, like I was quite shy as well, which was like probably not the best when you're trying to get potential meet people and all that. But yeah, that was the hardest part. But I think it was it was just a passion, so I just enjoyed doing it on my own, even at the start.
Yeah, and so I noticed, and your editing, I mean, I even know, obviously the background through sailing, you were known for your editing and music and sort of the stuff you did with your tracks. But you talked about that, you being influenced by people in the best. I think, Alex, you also spoke about the kind of videos you watched. Just tell me about that. You were talking about the atmosphere and the vibe of certain videos. What did you mean by that?
Yeah, some of the videos like My Cozier, it's just like the lighting's very moody, music's just right, it's just relaxing, like nothing too over the top.
Right.
Just keeps it simple and
so
clean.
not trying too hard.
Yeah, definitely. Just simple and clean.
And we were talking also about the switch up from, I mean, you guys are both Gen Zs, but one of the things I've seen change is the way we consume the media and gone from sort of laptops and we're still doing a lot on our phones, obviously, and it's growing, but I've seen more video done for big screen and wide screens and smart TVs. Are you guys seeing that as well?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I would say as a videographer, when you're filming, you sort of, I'm not really thinking, people are going to watch this on a smart TV. I need to cater for it. But it's definitely on the back of my mind to always try and shoot 4K as much as I can, just so I have that quality there for people that do. And the smart TVs, it's just so easy now to, they've always got the YouTube app on them. It's so easy to load it up. It's almost easier than getting onto a laptop.
From your phone.
Yeah, you can even cast from your phone.
Right,
I was looking at my YouTube stats the other day, and it's I think the smart TV, in terms of, because YouTube, it gives you the list of what platform people are watching on.
Okay.
And I think smart TV was 4th or 5th highest, which was quite surprising, really. I didn't expect it to be. I think it was just under Macintosh, so people
really
laptops.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's
pretty crazy.
And look, it's something you just mentioned then too. I find with Gen Z, with you guys especially, is your thoughts around data. I mean, what you should have been brought up in the era of data, an era of stats and likes and followers and that type of era. Tell me about that, because what do you look for? Most people kind of around my age are not into data, and I'm kind of older end of Gen X, but we sort of didn't get brought up with that whole era in data and analytics is just not what we do. But you guys do that. So Ben, just reeled off then, hey, when I'm looking at my YouTube stats. Now you've got a very strong following on YouTube, but just talk about the analytics you look for on your stats, be they Instagram or YouTube.
Yeah, I would say I don't analyze it enough as I should probably to then sort of have different strategies for it. I sometimes just sort of go on there and yesterday was when Alex and I were just sort of looking for fun about my where my audience is. That was probably the first time I looked at that in a while since the big jump I've had in subscribers, and that was surprising because it's I feel like I sort of try and appeal to a global audience, but at the same time I try and post to suit Australian viewers. So I post at 7 p.m. or something to try and appeal to them. But when I go onto my YouTube, Australia is so far ranked underneath America, Germany and Japan that I probably don't even need to cater for them or cater for Australia at all. I mean, United States...
Is it an audience size and viewers?
I have way more American viewers and even viewers in Germany, which is so random, but also pretty cool. So I don't look at my stats enough. I think that was probably pretty interesting for me to see that yesterday.
Right.
But when I do look, it's more about seeing when a video gets traction and what it gets traction from, which in most cases is when YouTube recommends it and sort of plugs it.
Right.
So that's when you will notice an influx of likes. I think I've had sort of 2 videos in the last 2 months go pretty well, get recommended by YouTube, and then both of them are over 25,000 likes and over 600,000 views each. So.
And you've got about I think maybe 4 videos, if I'm right, that are over the 1 million views, Ben. And one of them, the milk run, is always amazes me. The milk run. It's just this. What do we think? And that's done with different types of cars, isn't it? What's drove that kind of viral explosion of that particular video?
I think there was a mountain run.
Mountain run, sorry. Yeah, milk run was another one.
The milk run was the S2K. Yeah. The mountain run is a funny story because I feel like it's sort of the car equivalent of clickbait, because you've got this crazy sort of mountain pass forest thumbnail that looks like it could be out of a movie potentially, and the title is just simply the mountain run. but it's with cars that could clearly not do a mountain run because they're too low.
So
it's sort of a lot of that traffic.
So it's got intrigue as well, I guess.
And I would say not intrigue. I would say that video was driven a lot by hate of people complaining about the fact that it wasn't in fact a mountain run, that it was just 3 cars going up a mountain road, avoiding potholes and bumps and trying to go really slow. But yeah, I mean that video absolutely took off. I think it had 100,000 views in like 24 hours or something, if I remember correctly.
Is there an outtake, or is it in the video? I can't remember. Actually, one of the cars does actually grind itself to a hole that actually lands on a rock, I think, and you have to lift it off. Is that right?
I think there was a stage in there that included that, but that whole mountain path to take those roads there was the worst part was probably that I didn't show, that was getting them out to Mount Donabuang, which is where that was shot. That was probably the hardest part. We almost, I think on the way back, I think Julian's battery almost unplugged itself or something, and just there was almost a crash. It was pretty intense, but those roads they're not built for those cars.
No, well, those cars aren't built for those roads.
Yeah, exactly. I could probably go vice versa on
Either
that.
one. So, Alex, tell me about Errands. What is Errands?
Errands was started by me and Mike maybe like two years ago now. It was basically just like a hub for a bunch of photographers and videographers to sort of like share their work as like one.
Yeah, like a collaboration, a community.
Like a collaboration, like a community. Yeah. And I guess it's sort of like spiraled onto there, and we're doing a bit of everything now. Yeah.
And I know you guys, so you're down here for one of the car shows, Black Label, which is on this weekend.
Yeah.
And what are you doing there? You guys got the cars there. You've got some Errands merch. What are you?
We'll be doing like hoodies and stickers. We'll just have like a little store, just something basic.
Right.
Yeah.
And are you selling online as well, Alex? Do you do that?
We've done like one release so far online, stickers and t-shirts. Yeah. They both went pretty well. It's something different, like.
And when you're doing, what are the social media platforms of choice for you guys these days? What's sort of the go-to thing that you're always on or use to market your brands?
I feel like for like just talking to each other, everyone's just using Facebook. Like everyone's got like a bunch of group chats, and that's like the main way we all connect. But
also I would say for like close friends and sort of shenanigans a little bit, Snapchat is
Snapchat
like pretty,
is probably,
pretty. I think I've actually found myself using Snapchat a little bit more as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Just with like close friends.
It's easier to share like a video clip.
Instead of like messaging on Facebook.
Right.
But probably messaging, definitely Facebook, and a bit of Snapchat, and then for social stuff, Instagram.
Yeah, that's right.
And I mean, you're also in business as well, and my generation is very much email driven. But I'm seeing the switch from email to more messaging type apps. And for you guys, do you even look at email? Is it email versus messaging? What is it, like 90% messaging and 10% email? What's it work for you guys?
I would say definitely messaging is the messaging apps really help a lot. I mean, whether that be even WhatsApp as well over email, because I find like on a few shoots where you've got like a few different shooters and editors all in one, working on one project. WhatsApp, just create a group, and then it's just so much simple. So much more simple than setting up sort of an email chain.
I'm seeing that as well too in one of the leadership groups I'm with, John Maxwell group. It just runs on Facebook, the groups, and WhatsApp. And WhatsApp's even tighter. But I'm also seeing, I do a lot of stuff on LinkedIn, given what I do, and I'm even seeing more and more use of the messaging app in LinkedIn. So many people contacting me through messaging and vice versa, because just so much change, and email gets blocked and all that kind of stuff. So it's interesting you're seeing it, but I think it's a general swing as well. I noticed these Revolt stickers on both of your cars. Couldn't help notice them. What's that, Alex? Is that from you?
The Revolt stickers are basically a little thing from Errands. We just kind of put on like some of the cars that we like or think that's like kind of clean or like portrays what we're trying to do in the scene, just like something a bit different.
Right. So is it kind of like so having a Revolt sticker on your car is probably pretty cool to be, you kind of know it's like an inner group that has the Revolt sticker.
Like, it's like an inner group thing.
Yeah, not everyone kind of gets it, and you hold it out from a brand perspective.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I really like that, and a lot of that stuff seems sort of like if you've got one, it's really cool. If you haven't got one, you don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is really interesting. What about? I mean, you are doing the event this weekend, which is both. We talk a lot about online, but you're obviously doing some offline as well. Do you do many other events, Alex, for, say in Queensland? Is it events or more online that you do?
Events in Queensland, I think we like try to do just like little meets for errands, like maybe once every few months.
Right.
Just like to stay connected with people in person.
Kind of keep it exclusive, but also connecting in person as well. Yeah,
exactly.
I like that.
Having actual conversations rather than just like messing around on social media and just talking smack.
Now, Ben, you're overseas. You've done a couple of big overseas trips, and I'm interested in Japan because you're over there filming in Japan. And of course, most people would know Japan, especially the casting you were doing from the sort of Fast and Furious movies and Tokyo Drift that was over there. What was the biggest difference between, say, the scene from, say, a social media point of view, a car point of view in Australia versus what you saw in Japan?
There's a few questions just within that whole sentence you said. I mean, I think first of all, when I was going over there, I obviously like really wanted to shoot a lot of cars. And I am fortunate enough to have my good friends Ryota and Tabasa from Unripe. They really helped me.
So it's just so Unripe is...
Unripe Tokyo, which is there. I mean, they do a bit of clothing, a bit of hats and all that. They also have a YouTube channel. So Ryota does, and Tabasa, they both do videography, and they sort of produce like after movies as well for events, like I do, and they do their own sort of features. But they're great guys, and they were able to help me out. Well, they did help me out so much. I mean, they took me down to shoot Wekfest Japan. That was in Nagoya, so it was about a 7-hour drive, and we drove there through the night, and then arrived at like 4 a.m. in the morning, and then tried to have an hour's sleep before all the cars started bumping in, which was just really loud. And
so it's a custom car show?
Wekfest is. Yeah, Wekfest is a custom car show. Probably one of the best globally, I would say, just because, definitely. I mean, even when I was walking around, you're looking at all these cars that you just see online, and you see them in person, and I sort of couldn't believe it at the time, because these cars are even better in person than online, which is quite rare these days. You know, it's like they don't hide. Everything is just so perfect and so well done and actually clean.
Oh, that's kind of interesting, isn't it? Because normally it's the other way around, isn't it? You don't believe anything on the internet because when you get there, it sort of doesn't live up to it. That's an interesting observation.
Like photoshopping.
So in Japan, those guys helped me out a lot with connections and all that, in terms of shooting cars. Because I mean, I've had like a little bit of a following from Japan, I think, but I didn't have enough where I could sort of message people and they know my work. And also, it's hard for them to sort of really see what I can do and relate it to their sort of country in a way, because I hadn't shot there before. But yeah, everyone I met was so nice, so welcoming. They were always down to shoot if I asked them, unless of course they lived 4 hours away, which is one thing I found out as well, how big Japan is and how spread out the car scene. It's like spread from east to west. It's just so massive, and people live so far away from Tokyo. I just for some reason thought everything was like, it was probably a pretty naive experience.
Well, it's the movies kind of make you believe that too, don't they? They're focused on that as well. And there is a big country.
Yeah, and there is a lot of people in Tokyo, but I was just sort of blown away by the fact that, that they're spread so far wide in Japan, like just all the different car owners, especially the ones that are obviously, the sort of top cars in Japan. But yeah, Ryota and Tabasa helped out heaps with all the shooting.
And what do they use from a social media platforms in Japan? What did you find was prevalent?
Instagram was pretty high, but I did find out that Twitter in Japan is massive. So Twitter, which I don't have, so I don't have Twitter, which is sort of interesting. But so Twitter for all the guys in Japan was massive, and I didn't know that at the time. Yeah. So I actually was having guys like Ryota and even other people put out sort of plugs for me to do filming on Twitter that I just had no idea about. It's all in Japanese, and they're just like,
Right.
So I had no idea what they were saying or anything, but they were just sort of throwing my name out there on Twitter.
Right.
But I don't have Twitter, so I couldn't see it, nor
Yeah.
do I speak Japanese, so I couldn't understand what they were saying.
Yeah.
But that was just very interesting for me, because I just, it's interesting, because I don't think in Australia Twitter's that big, especially with our generation.
No, I wouldn't have thought so. I was going to ask you about it. You didn't bring it up before when I asked you about the platforms. Whereas, my generation, Twitter is quite big, and I think and Finn who's producing here, Twitter's probably pretty big in your scene, the kind of film scene, but maybe that is a little bit different in terms of the creative side of Twitter. But I think it's bigger here than it is in Japan. Were they using WeChat or WhatsApp much over there?
They did have a messaging app, but I'm not sure if I can remember what it was. I think it was
Line.
Yeah, I think it was Line.
Yep.
It was like their sort of messaging app that's similar to WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Okay.
But other than that, it's probably just Instagram.
And is that owned by the Zuck as well? Or has he got that one?
I'm not sure about it.
Naver.
Yeah,
Naver.
but they're all so nice, and I think one thing about the Japanese is the fact that if they want to meet you and sort of show you around, they'll just message you and just make it happen, and they'll drive out to you.
That's I'm glad to hear that, because I sailed over there. We did a world championship over there in '92, I think, and they were just amazing. They're the most beautiful people I've met, and I remember getting off the plane, and we had this they met us out there, and the only big difference with the airport, no, it's changed now, but everyone was smoking in the airport, which you don't see. It was quite funny. And they drove us 2 hours down to where the boats had all been shipped by containers.
Yeah.
And we got down there thinking, we're so wrecked, we have to get the boat. And the boats were all out of the containers, all sitting on the beach, ready for us to go practicing. It was like, my God, these people are unbelievable.
Yeah.
And, they was just absolutely fantastic.
Did you say there was smoking in the airport?
Oh, it's crazy, yeah, because they're huge.
I didn't experience that, but when I got off my flight and was trying to search for my train, because I had no idea where I was going, there was just a guy just sipping on a beer next to me, and that was still confusing. Because that's not something you do out in Melbourne.
Yeah. Well, over
so
there,
random.
did you notice that, the vending machines over there? There were vending machines every metre in Japan, and they sold everything: bottles of champagne, beer, cigarettes.
I feel like we
everything.
just can't do that in Australia. We're just too.
No, we just don't do that.
Well, our laws, and also the fact I think we wouldn't be able to control ourselves.
That's right. You can imagine that one, the vending machine around here. You guys would be going.
That'd be dangerous.
We wouldn't be doing this podcast well, I can tell you that. Let's talk about Instagram for a second, because there's been some interesting trials with the likes being turned off. Now, but for both of you guys, and both of you guys are in the tens of thousands of Instagram followers. What's that mean to you with the likes being turned off? What was your reaction to that?
Oh, I'll get you go.
Alex, what's your thoughts?
I still find it very weird. It's kind of weird. I was looking through it last night again, and you find that if one of your mutual friends has liked a post, you still get an others thing next to it, and you can kind of see.
Right.
Still, so it's not completely gone.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, which I don't quite understand. Why not get rid of it completely if you're doing that?
That's a little appears to me that, and I saw some of the reasoning behind them doing it, which given the stuff I do in mental health, I could get. But the only thing was that you, as the owner of that image, if you put it up, you could still see whether it was you could still see whether it was popular or not.
Exactly.
So, what about from a business perspective from you guys? Because there's a lot of people looking at the likes and the effort, and also the effort that you guys put into your images. Is that sort of currency the amount of likes you get? So now it's not there.
I think you'd be lying to yourself if you said that when a video or a photo goes viral and you get a certain amount of likes, maybe more so than you usually get, that it doesn't make you feel maybe more proud or proud of your work or proud of it's obviously going to sort of have an effect on you,
right?
But for me, I mean, it's weird. I think it's not really the fact they've gotten rid of it or sort of what's happened. It's more the fact it's just a drastic change from how the norm has been for over 6 years.
How
so it's
started.
Yeah. So it's just a change that's very
unexpected. Really.
Unexpected, slightly. Yeah. And also, I mean, I think it was interesting how they rolled it out as well. I think Finn messaged me and said, "Oh, likes have gone off Instagram." And I went on and I still had them, and I was like, "Oh,
I think it wasn't all at once."
Yeah, maybe they haven't done it. And then it was just maybe 10 minutes later I checked, and then it was gone. It was just a weird sort of
and it's been different countries too. I know in North America it was coming as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. Definitely interesting.
Yeah, and how do you guys? I mean, when I first went on Instagram, and it was Instagram, that was it. And now I find that how do you cope with Instagram TV, Instagram Stories, Instagram Carousel? I'm seeing actually people almost blogging on Instagram as well, like really long text. And what do you? How do you cope with that part of them? Do you just keep on doing what you're doing, or are you doing more things?
I feel like I've been like quite focused on the stories a lot, like trying to show what I've been doing like every day, or like if there's something going on, I'll like take
your
photos.
Feed is a very different aesthetic to mine. So I think
very lifestyle based, I think.
Lifestyle, and also even just the way you frame and the way your layout is on Instagram is like quite different to mine. Rather mine is like the sort of I don't know. I'm very particular about how my grid looks, so I always check how.
He's always messaging me.
I always I've messaged Alex a few times. And I'm like, oh, do you think like this crop is like right here? And then I might delete a photo after 2 minutes and then upload it like 10 minutes later. So particular. Because I sort of have the idea that it's like, you know, if you're lazy, like think about the fact that photos I posted like 2 years ago are still up there. It's like once they're up there, they're
well, that's right.
And I think you might as well be particular about it and sort of really be proud of how it looks.
Yeah, and you've built, you know, probably 3 channels, Ben. I know you've built 3 in the multi-thousands, tens of thousands on Instagram. And Alex, you've got at least 2 that I know of. You may have done others in the past. Because it is up there, isn't it? And stays there.
Yeah, definitely.
And do you mix between the errands one and your own? Alex, you kind of share between both?
We definitely go back and forth, sort of like keep the errands one more like business orientated, I say.
You and Mike are both logged in on that?
I'm logged in. We're both using that. And,
okay, excellent.
Like if we post something, we'll like both talk about a post before we put it up together or whatnot. Yeah. Both have like a say.
Let's talk about some other stuff from as you guys are getting older and you obviously both got your own businesses as well. What do you look when you think about things like online banking or banking? What are the brands? Do the current brands, the big 4 banks that are out there in Australia, mean anything to you? What do you guys think about banking? What do you kind of expect from a bank, for example?
Well, I've been with. I think the major thing probably for me, I don't know about you, but is the ease of use with apps and sort of the whole.
So we don't have to mention brands or anything. Most interested in what you look for in usage.
I would say just accessibility. Obviously the safety aspect, but I think that
safety from a fraud point of view and travel and stuff you're doing.
I mean, it's obviously pretty daunting when you sort of log into an app and it's like, it's all sort of there. If you're on a Wi-Fi network, even like you're sort of a bit, especially if you
see everything.
I don't usually try and log in internationally, but it's sort of a bit daunting sometimes on all the Wi-Fi's and stuff. But probably the apps and the accessibility for me.
Exactly. And like PayPass and all that on your phone. Having Apple Pay or whatever.
I'm pretty behind on that. I just set that up the other day. Actually.
Having it so convenient now.
And like payment gateways and things like that, as you start to do a bit, you're starting to sort of get into the merchandise stuff early days. You're already down that track a little bit.
Definitely.
Alex, what was important for you when you were setting up that kind of stuff?
So we're basically just using like a square POS. Just keeping it very simple because like I feel like most of the time everyone's just using their phone or just like PayPassing it nowadays. Like no one's actually swiping or like giving cash anymore. So it's just.
I got to tell you, when I was in Seoul in Korea a couple of years ago, they'd had like phone payments for like 6 or 7 years, and I was so old school. I was just looking at, and like they're looking at me like you just use the big Samsung thing in your hand, just use that. Whereas I think we're really behind, but we're sort of catching up. Superannuation, that's probably. What does it mean to you guys? I mean, I'm going to ask this question. They're laughing. Everyone's laughing at me here. But I'm interested because there's so many. I do a lot of work in financial services. And there's a lot of people, who are trying to, catch your attention, you guys' attention. And some of them, have they? I mean, what when you say when I say superannuation, does it mean anything to you at
all? Well, for me, I've had a couple of experiences with super. I won't name any names, but I think the one issue I had. Was I sort of had like a tutoring role doing photography.
So part-time role through uni,
through tutoring, and super was set up in my name because it was obviously through just part of the whole system to make that happen. But it was funny because I just didn't have the best experience. I mean, I was never reached out by the phone. It was just letters that were sent to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Very sort of black and white, and then just I felt like there was no connection there. I didn't have
quite sure what was going on.
I didn't have any obligation to sort of approach them at all because I felt like they weren't reaching out at all.
Okay, so they weren't really connecting with you. So you're in this thing set up by an employer, which is kind of default, which
exactly.
Super Fun has an opportunity with you. It sounds like to me they have an opportunity to really connect with you, but just send out a bland kind of corporate affairs.
And it's like there wasn't even like an email sent out by someone reaching out as well. It's not like you have to call me, but not even like someone reaching out just giving me an update on the situation or whatever. It was just like, a letter, a letter. It was so like almost draconian in a way. I was like,
is it important to you, superannuation? What do you think, Alex?
I don't know. It's hard to say, really.
I think it is important. You get in trouble if you say it isn't.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't have to be at your age. It wasn't for me. I didn't. When I was your age, I was different than you. I had super, but I had access to the money.
Yeah.
And I just took the money. I thought I didn't even need it. I just took it and I spent it on stuff. Some of it was good stuff, some of it was on car stuff like you guys.
I feel like we just do that anyway. Never even.
But you get it locked away. Now, your experience also, if I recall, Ben, was also one of you got hit by fees. It was just.
Yeah, so essentially I obviously wasn't putting any money into it because I was too busy buying car parts. And then I was just hit by fees, and then the account pretty much just got eaten up on its own.
Right.
Which is fine because I mean at the same time I wasn't obliged to sort of put money into it because of how the letter situation. It was just like, we're shutting down your account. I was just like, okay. I've spoken to no one involved in this business. I don't know.
So the real comm side just wasn't there. Now you said there's a flip side to that. What's the other experience you've had? With super, have you had a better experience anywhere with that at all, or have you seen some of the firms trying to kind of reach out to you guys?
I think I have had a couple of firms, especially through some of my clients, explain to me how simple super is,
right?
Which was quite nice to hear. It was nice to hear it actually is rather simple and just sort of. I think I got quite scared from my first experience because it was sort of quite savage in the way it was done with the letters and all that. It was quite a turn off for me to sort of even be involved in it.
Yeah.
But upon hearing about it a little more, I sort of began to understand.
But you guys are different because you're both business owners, so a lot of the super stuff that's coming out is towards employees. You're actually both entrepreneurs. Do you think the industry actually gets what you guys do and gets the entrepreneurial part?
Is in
Because you're running your own businesses. I mean, you have to put it away as opposed to someone's not putting it away for you. You have to look after yourselves now.
I don't know. So I think it's probably the hardest part. I would say is just like having the strength in a way, the strength to sort of just be mature enough to put it away and sort of instead of going, I'm just going to do this instead or put that money elsewhere. Like
it's like put it in the bank or something.
It's a discipline.
Right.
Discipline
the right word.
Of doing that. All right, guys. So, and Ben, one thing you got was a YouTube award for the work you've done on and you got that from YouTube, from the CEO of YouTube. What was it like?
Yes, I'm not sure it comes direct. The letter was,
but they got the letter. The letter was definitely signed by the CEO.
Yeah.
What was that like getting that?
I mean, when I first arrived, I was like so stoked. It was probably the milestone of sort of just reaching 100,000. It's such a big number. I mean, like when I first started, I probably should actually start with the sailing channel I made. So it was so with the sailing channel, I think I had like 6,000 or 7,000 subscribers on that, and I was like, damn, that's like a lot.
A lot of people.
And then when I started Hartnett Media, I obviously made a new YouTube channel and all that. And then I never thought I'd reach 100,000 subscribers. It was just so far out of the balloon that it was just not. I didn't think it was even going to be a reality. So then just sort of reaching that number and seeing the audience and all that sort of build was so good. But I think it's not actually about the big number or anything like that. It's sort of the really tight connections I've made along the way.
Well, that's about engagement, and I think that both of you guys have got strong engagement. You see a lot of people trying to get lots of followers, lots of likes, but the engagement is actually the key part, isn't it? It's actually how do you do the engagement, Alex? What's the stuff you do?
I feel like just like connecting with other people that are also trying to do the same thing. It's I think that's quite important.
In both an online and an offline, both ways.
Yeah, it's good to I think always be on the same level.
Yeah, exactly.
I think a lot of when you start thinking about likes and followers and stuff, some people can sort of walk around with their head held high or something.
Yeah.
You know, everyone sort of starts at the same level.
Yeah,
Right.
So exactly.
You all start with nothing at the end of the day. Everyone's got to start at that particular level. All right, so let's just before we kind of wrap up, let's talk about some of the platforms. So, if Alex, people want to find you on Instagram. How do they find you?
My Instagram's kind of weird. It's it's J and then XCVIII.
So
Beautiful. We're going to put that on that podcast anyway, guys. So you'll see that in there. And your Aaron's one. What's the Aaron's one on Instagram?
It's
a bit
Aaron's
different.
without an A, but a V instead.
It's so cool, isn't it? I got to start spelling my name like that.
Honestly.
And Ben, your one on Instagram's pretty simple, I think.
Yeah, just Hartnett Media for like everything. YouTube, Instagram, keep it simple.
A lot easier.
Facebook page, all that.
Right.
All the same. So yeah, pretty easy to find me.
All right, guys. Well, thanks a lot for coming in. It's been really awesome. You got the car show coming up this weekend, so I know you guys will be out there with the polish and getting everything set up. So
should be fun. Should be good.
Yeah, it should be fun this weekend. So we'll get down there as well. And good luck with all the merch selling it. Alex, it'll be fantastic. And Ben, I think you're filming some of the stuff down there as well.
Yeah, I'm doing a video for Ray, the organizer of the event. So it should be good. Getting there pretty early. I think we're getting there at 7 a.m.
Yeah, 6, 7, yeah.
Pretty early.
All right, early for you guys.
Yeah.
That's for sure. All right, guys. Thanks for the session today, and thanks for producing.
No worries.
See you next time, guys. Bye.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.